Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and it's time for me to once again don my newsman fedora and attempt to describe what's happening with the Microsoft acquisition of Activision, even though it's really confusing to me and there's a lot of stuff happening here. So basically, Microsoft is taking off the gloves, man. They're pissed off because the United Kingdom's Competition and Markets Authority is basically just siding with Sony right now. And they actually put out this statement right here that says the CMA is concerned that having full control over this powerful catalog, especially in light of Microsoft's already strong position in gaming consoles, operating systems, and cloud infrastructure, could result in Microsoft harming consumers by impairing Sony's, Microsoft's closest gaming rival, ability to compete as well as that of other existing rivals and potential new entrants who could otherwise bring healthy competition through innovative multi-game subscriptions and cloud gaming services. So once again, the United Kingdom, their CMA, the Competition and Markets Authority, is right now none too happy with the idea of Microsoft acquiring Activision. They're basically, Sony's been in their ear this entire time, Google's been in their ear this entire time saying it's a bad idea, don't let them do this. And Microsoft is coming back, man. They're coming back swinging. They are not happy about this really whatsoever, and they put out a couple of documents right here for us to go through, and perusing through these, lots of interesting information in here. Microsoft says they have no plans to make Call of Duty an Xbox exclusive because PlayStation has double the amount of COD players than Xbox, and it would tarnish both the Xbox brand as well as the Call of Duty brand. They've offered Sony a contractual agreement to continue supplying PlayStation with Call of Duty games with both feature and content parity. Now, what that means is, even though the games are going to come out on all systems, according to Microsoft, they're going to have complete parity. There's going to be no exclusivity there. You're not going to get your bonus Oni skin for having a PlayStation. You're not going to get bonus bullshit for having an Xbox. It's going to be completely fair. Everyone gets everything at the exact same time, feature and content parity. Now, word is, and they don't really talk about this too much here, but word is in private dealings, we heard this from Jim Ryan of PlayStation, that Microsoft only guaranteed that COD would be coming to PlayStation until 2027 during their private meetings. And Microsoft has not really commented on that too much. I wish we had more information in regards to that, because that's really the crux of the entire situation, at least in my opinion. Like, they need to guarantee that, almost in perpetuity, although you can't really do perpetuity stuff anymore, that Call of Duty is still going to come to PlayStation. I play on PC, right? But I have all the systems. Like, I don't want to see a situation where part of the player base is alienated for picking the wrong piece of plastic. But Microsoft says right here, Microsoft has no intention to take Call of Duty away from gamers, and indeed, it has publicly committed not to do so. The value of Call of Duty depends on its community of gamers, the majority of whom are on PlayStation. Keeping Call of Duty on PlayStation is, therefore, a commercial imperative for the Xbox business and the economics of the transaction. That does make a lot of sense. Like, it really does. Like, they go on here in all these different articles and stuff like that to claim that PlayStation's install base, like the number of people who have like a PS4, a PS5, whatever, the number of players on PlayStation is more than double that of Xbox, and it's even larger than Nintendo. So basically it goes PlayStation, Nintendo, then Xbox. And over there in the UK, and of course different parts of the world, some parts of the world like Dubai, and there's one more, I can't remember which one it is off the top of my head, they've already approved this acquisition, but all these companies and all these countries are worried about the idea that Xbox is going to be too big. Meanwhile, Sony is by far the largest. Like, they're worried about the idea of a monopoly, right? They don't want Microsoft to do what they did back in the day and have a monopoly once again. But according to Microsoft, Sony has by far the biggest console player base, and they say that they're of course going to be still continuing to release COD on PlayStation. But they said, hypothetically, if they were to make COD an Xbox exclusive and take away all those COD players from PlayStation over to Xbox, Sony would still have the largest console player base based on the current numbers that are out there. Like, that's how far in the lead Sony is right now, but they're acting like Microsoft is somehow about to take over absolutely everything. And going back to the idea of the monopoly, Sony, like I said, has the biggest console player base out there, and Microsoft's not the only company trying to acquire these different studios. Microsoft did get Bethesda, and you guys know me, I'm a big Fallout nerd. I love Fallout, so I'm hoping eventually, it's going to take forever. We got Starfield, then Elder Scrolls 6, 6 and then Fallout 5. So maybe in my lifetime I'll get to play a new Fallout game again. But they did acquire Bethesda, they have access to that. But Sony has been acquiring other studios. Sony has picked up Bungie, who made Destiny 2. A couple of these studios I don't recognize. We got Haven Studios, we got Lasengle and Savage Games, and Sony's also expressed an interest in acquiring From Software, who are the folks who of course brought us Elden Ring, the biggest game of last year. So Sony already has a pretty substantial catalog and a pretty massive player base. And Microsoft, I mean, their CEO said right there in that interview, if it's about competition, let there be competition. Microsoft, this is pretty damning to me, is claiming that there are over 280 exclusive first or third party titles on PlayStation in 2021. 280. Which is nearly 5 times as many exclusives as Xbox has. So let that sink in for a second. This may be coming off as a bit like pro Xbox, pro Microsoft here, but I do find it kind of weird that Sony, according to Microsoft, is in such a lead right now. They're doing so ridiculously well, and the idea that Microsoft is trying to, better themselves and take a bigger chunk of the market share, that seems like competition to me. But Sony and Google and apparently the United Kingdom's CMA, they're arguing against it. It's almost like, from what Microsoft is saying, if we are to believe that what Microsoft is saying is true, which I can't imagine they'd be lying too much because it's out there and these things can be fact checked by all sorts of people. Not me. I just play video games. I just report the news. But, these can be fact checked by so many people, right? So to understand that these things are probably true, it seems like this isn't about competition. It's about anti-competition. It's about keeping Microsoft down, because we all know with the last gen consoles, man, Sony was killing it. And that's coming from someone who played Xbox forever. My console progression when Sega Genesis, that was my first gaming console, and then I went to PlayStation 1, then PlayStation 2, and then to the Xbox 360. And the reason why, it's because that's where my friends played. My friend Tyler played it. My cousin Nick had it. All my friends had Xbox, and I wanted to play with my friends, so I got that. And then all my friends were on Xbox, so I got the Xbox One. I ended up getting a PS4. Now I have a PS5, and now I've got the PC. I don't have a Series X because there's really no reason to. I don't know. I just don't see a reason to buy one. But I promise, I'm not a fanboy of either way. I have all the systems. I've played all the systems, but I'm just looking at this from the perspective of the consumer, which is why I think we all should. So many people are just going to be console warring, Sony should win or Microsoft should win. Dude, those companies don't give a shit about you. They never have. You're a number to them. Stop being sheep. Think for yourselves, man. Think of what is in the best interest of you. And maybe if you're a hardcore Sony fan, maybe the idea of this acquisition going through is something that maybe benefits you because you like having exclusive content and things like that, because that's what Sony does. Going back to it, Sony's got 280 exclusive first or third party titles on PlayStation alone, 5 times as many as Xbox. And you guys know how it is with the COD franchise. They have the exclusivity deal. They get access to things early. They get access to more features, more content. It just, if you're into that, you're kind of a douche, but I understand it. You know what I mean? But if you're a Microsoft fan and you just want to go back to the idea of I'm sure there's some Microsoft fans out there that want to be the good old days, back when women couldn't vote or something like that. Back when Microsoft had all the exclusivity stuff for COD, which, by the way, don't bring up that parallel anymore, man. Sony has gotten so much more shit out of the exclusivity deals than Microsoft did way back when. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's not even comparable at this point. Sony has definitely taken the lion's share. But regardless, maybe there's some Xbox fans out there that want Xbox to have all the exclusivity. Well, you know what I want? I don't want any more exclusivity. Fuck that shit, dude. I'm so tired of it. And when I see that Phil Spencer is coming out there and they're promising feature and content parity within the COD franchise, that's all I want. You sold me right there. If you promise, if it's signed on paper, there's pen to pad here where they guarantee that they're always going to release COD on PlayStation along with the Xbox consoles as well as PC and whatever else comes out in the future, and they guarantee feature and content parity between all those systems. There you go. That's all I need to hear. As a COD player, as a consumer, that's all I need to hear. That's all I want. I'm so tired of exclusivity, and I can't wait for it to go away. And right now, the race is heating up. Here's the thing. This is supposed to go through next year. We're going to hear so much more nonsense between now and then. Sony and Microsoft are going to be going back and forth with each other nonstop. I'll do my best to cover it here on the channel, but this does really affect the COD franchise, and not even just COD. This affects the games industry as a whole. So it's a pretty big deal. And there's going to be a lot of litigation, lots of red tape, lots of things being said back and forth. But at the end of the day, all I can truly hope for is the removal of exclusivity and content parity, feature parity, and making it so games release on like all systems and all platforms. Because let's be honest, man, I'm so like, are we all not just tired of exclusivities? Wouldn't it be great if you could just, if they had to compete? Can you imagine a world where these game consoles had to compete based on the power and the value of the console and not the bullshit on top of it? How great would that be, dude? I scared my cat. How awesome would that be? Like, if it wasn't about who's got Call of Duty or who's got God of War, or who's got Halo, or none of that nonsense, and it came down to which system has the most power for the cheapest price. God, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Oh, that's the future I hope to see, but I doubt we're ever going to see that. But then again, this games industry, you never have any idea what's going to happen next. Tomorrow's a new day, and anything could happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is all for this video here tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your thoughts and feedback down there in the comments, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.